When Mr. John rented his upstairs flat to a quiet young man called Alex, he thought he'd found the perfect tenant. Always paid early, never made noise, and always greeted respectfully. But 2 months later, both Alex and Madame Jasmine, the landlord's sweet, church-going wife, vanished the same night. The only thing they left behind was a half-eaten pot of egusi soup and a letter that began with, "Forgive me, Daddy." Mr. John was a man who took pride in his compound. Every morning, he swept his corridor himself, wearing his wrapper and shouting at imaginary tenants, "You people think nipper bill grows on tree." His wife, Madame Jasmine, was his opposite, soft-spoken, elegant, with a voice that could calm thunder. She sold fabrics in Balagan Market but never lost her humility. To her, respect was sweeter than gold. When Alex arrived, the handsome man in his late 20s, clean haircut, polite tongue, the compound suddenly became peaceful. He paid 1 year rent up front, fixed the leaking pipe himself, and even bought new light bulbs for the passage. "Oh, this one not responsible boy," Jasmine told her husband, smiling. John grunted. "No, so them they start. Tomorrow you go hear story." But James' quietness deceived everyone. He never argued, never borrowed salt, never raised his voice. Sometimes, he played cool music in the evening, soft enough that even mosquitoes would slow dance. Soon, Jasmine began to admire his gentleness. When her husband traveled to Ibadan for business, she'd check on Alex to make sure he was comfortable. She'd bring him soup, fruits, and sometimes pure water because nipper hid too much. One evening, she entered his flat to drop food and found him shirtless, fixing a socket. His muscles glistened like palm oil under sunlight. She looked away too late. "Oh, sorry, madam. I no say you go come now," he said, smiling shyly. "It's okay. I just dropped the soup," she muttered, heart beating like generator with low fuel. That night, Madame Jasmine couldn't sleep. Something strange began to grow, a curiosity she didn't pray about. And before long, curiosity became fire. In the same compound lived Mama Jennifer, a widow who sold puff-puff by the gate and knew every gossip before it happened. She was the kind of woman who could smell secrets through closed doors. One Thursday night, as she went to fetch water, she saw Jasmine tiptoe into Alex's flat wearing wrapper and scarf, holding a food flask. It was almost 10 p.m. Mama Jennifer whispered, "This one past night evangelism." The next morning, Jasmine came out glowing, pretending she didn't see anyone. But the compound had eyes and tongues. By Sunday, whispers had become thunder. Even the cat that usually slept near Alex's door refused to rest there again. When John returned from Ibadan, he noticed the change. The tenant suddenly greeted him with pity instead of fear. At dinner, he asked his wife, "Why everybody they look me like say I lost election?" Jasmine laughed nervously. "Maybe them happy you travel and come back alive." But that night, John's instincts began to stir. He heard James' door open quietly at 11:47 p.m. the same minute his wife pretended to be asleep. He waited. 10 minutes later, he heard her footsteps, gentle but guilty. He sat up, heart racing. So now me them one turn to mumu for my own compound. The next day, he told Mama Jennifer, "I go catch 'em red-handed tonight." Mama Jennifer grinned. "Make I bring my torchlight." That evening, John hid behind the generator house, armed with his phone camera. But by midnight, no one came out. Only frogs and mosquitoes kept him company. Tired and angry, he entered the house only to find Jasmine's wardrobe empty and Alex's door wide open. On the table sat a small brown envelope with bold handwriting. "Forgive me, Daddy." The letter was long, written in a shaky but determined hand. "I know what I've done is unforgivable. I didn't plan for it to happen. He saw me differently, not as a woman under her husband's roof, but as someone who still mattered. I followed my heart, maybe foolishly, maybe desperately. Don't look for me, please. John's hand trembled as he read. Jasmine. After 18 years of marriage. For common tenant. By morning, the whole street had heard. Some laughed behind his back, others sympathized loudly. Sorry, landlord. Women no war. He reported to police, but they said, Sir, adults know they kidnap themselves. 2 weeks passed. Rent time came, but Alex's flat remained empty. Then one night, Alex's friend, a short man called Michael, appeared, pretending to look for him. John grabbed him. Where my wife and that bastard they? Michael swore he didn't know. Oga, Alex just called me say he don't travel go Ghana with madam. Them say them won't start business. Business? John shouted. So she carry my money and follow small boy go Ghana. Anger became sickness. He started forgetting things, losing appetite. The compound became quiet like a graveyard. Every tenant paid rent early, afraid of his mood. Then one afternoon, a call came from an unknown number. Hello, Daddy. The voice was soft. Jasmine. John's heart jumped. Jasmine. Where you dey? I'm sorry, she said. I made mistake. Alex deceived me. He say he love me, but he use me. He run with my money everything. Which money? The shop money, the market savings, even my gold. Her voice cracked. He vanished. I'm stranded in Cotonou. John went silent for almost 1 full minute. Then he sighed. You see your life. I tell you make you no trust stranger pass your husband. Now you learn. She cried. Please, just send me small transport to come back. He hung up. Then stared at the phone for long. That night, he didn't sleep. The next morning, he wired the money not out of love, but to end the chapter properly. 2 weeks later, Jasmine returned home. She looked smaller, darker, like the sun had punished her for her choices. When she saw her husband, she knelt immediately. John, please. I don't have excuse. Just forgive me. The compound watched from windows, pretending to sweep. John looked at her long, then said quietly, I know be God, but I fit learn forgiveness small. You go stay, but no longer as madam. You go earn 'em again. He gave her the old boys' quarters behind the main house and told her to start afresh from there. Every morning, she helped Mama Jennifer fry puff-puff, silent but grateful. People gossiped, but John didn't care. Sometimes, at night, he'd sit on the balcony and sigh, muttering, if you keep goat and lion together, one day, the lion go test meat. 6 months later, strange news came again, this time from Cotonou. A Nigerian man had been arrested for romance fraud, fake identity, and theft. His name? Alex Emmanuel, 28 years old. When police searched his hotel room, they found fake passports, love letters, and Jasmine's wedding ring. John showed the newspaper to his wife without a word. She cried quietly, then whispered, God, thank you, say not only shame I get, not death. From that day, she stopped wearing makeup and started attending early morning prayers daily. And John? He still shouted at tenants, still swept his corridor, but sometimes he looked at his wife's puff-puff table and smiled faintly. Because deep down, he knew. Not every tenant pays with cash, some pay with lessons that last forever. No matter how sweet temptation looks, betrayal always ends in regret. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional and powerful African stories. Your support keeps the stories alive.